Mr. President, why did you fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics?
Because I think her numbers were wrong. Just like I thought her numbers were wrong before the election. Days before the election, she came out with these beautiful numbers for Kamala. I guess Biden/Kamala. And she came out with these beautiful numbers trying to get somebody else elected. Then right after the election, I think on the 15th, November 15th, she had an $800,000 or $900,000 massive reduction. Said she made a mistake. That woman's numbers are.
So here's the Democratic and the deep state play right now to try to convince you that the economy is not strong, to try to convince you that jobs are not being created, that the interest rate is not in a place that it can be lowered, that things are actually in tumultuous turmoil, and it's all Donald Trump's fault. Blah, 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 blah. We've heard this before. Hi, I'm Pastor Marty. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and once you are, smack the bell. Click the word all. That'll give you notification of my rants, my ravings, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please like and share this video. It's the only way that we can get the word out that we're here. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of the Afternoon Drive. So even CNN, and they are certainly no big fans of President Donald J. Trump, even they have been trying to tell Democrats Trump is winning. What he's doing is actually working.
I can't think of a more influential president during this century, and it starts here with tariffs. He said he was going to raise tariffs, and despite the claims otherwise, he is in fact doing that. Trump, at least in my mind, is the most influential president, certainly this century, and probably dating a good back chunk into the 20th century as well. Executive orders, immigration with net migration, and we're talking about tariffs and the effective tariff rate. Donald Trump is remaking the United States. Love it, like it, or lump it. He has been tremendously influential to a historic degree. At this particular point, the Democratic brand is in the basement. It is total and complete garbage in the mind of the American public. The Democratic Party's net favorable rating, record lows in all three. Wall Street Journal, 30 points underwater. CNN, 26 points underwater. Gallup, 26 points underwater. And that is being driven in large part by discontent within the Democratic base. The Democratic base wants something different.
Remember, because of Donald Trump and all of his executive actions when he first came into office, that by now we should have been, literally melted alive because he got us out of the Paris Climate Accord, that he rolled back all of Joe Biden's initiatives when it came to alternative energy and Green New Deal, bullhawk, hogwash, that we were supposed to have this incredibly oppressive economic recession into a full-blown depression, the likes of which we hadn't seen since the 1930s because of the tariffs. Remember all of that just literally weeks ago? The stock market was going to crash. Everybody was going to lose their 401k. And yet we are having one of the most robust times on Wall Street ever.
Well, last week it closed in a loss.
You do understand how that works, right? The professional investor class, from time to time, as more people in the middle class begin to enter into becoming part of the investor class, they take advantage of their, if you will, rookieism. And the professional investors kind of get together. They create a panic over something. Everybody that's new to all of this gets panic-stricken. They start selling, prices start dropping, and as a result, they're out, and the professionals swoop in, buy everything dirt cheap, and miraculously, Shazam, Batman, the stock market rebounds. This has been going on since the stock market was actually launched. Nothing new to see here. New investors need to learn. Don't panic, because your panic is exactly what the professional investor class is hoping for. That's how they make money. That all said, Democrats are lying, saying that businesses don't want to invest right now because they don't know what's going to happen with tariffs. And the only reason there was a slight economic bump is that in the very beginning of Trump promising this tariff trade war, all American suppliers, they pre-ordered everything that they thought that they would need to see us through this crisis. So he got a bump, but everything's going to collapse now. This is what they're trying to sell you. They don't want you to know that right now, thanks to those tariffs and to the Doge cuts, remember that guy Elon Musk that they wanted to burn at the stake? They were setting fire to his dealerships. They were trying to burn individual people's Tesla vehicles, despite the fact that just a couple of years ago he was seen as the savior of the planet because everybody thought he was a libloon, and then he turns out to be, Black MAGA. And apparently he's still Black MAGA because today news outlets are reporting that, hey, I thought there was a fight and a rift and a feud between Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and he's still spending millions of dollars donating to Trump causes, and he's even said nice things now about the big, beautiful bill. Imagine that. Gee, where did you hear that this feud between Trump and Musk might be a manufactured diversion? What guy here on YouTube might have told you that? Could it have been moi?
You can't handle the truth.
Sorry, humility won't allow me to take the deserved victory lap that I ought to be taking right now.
Alrighty then.
But we have a budget surplus right now. That wasn't supposed to happen. Remember when Donald Trump cracked down on the border and stopped allowing the illegal invasion of our country, and ICE began deporting, that we were told, that's it, all these people are going to run for the hills now, even the ones that do our work, what's going to happen? They made it sound like, public restrooms weren't going to be cleaned anymore, and fruit would be rotting on the vine, rotting on trees, because after all, you elite white people aren't going to go out and pick strawberries. My kids, one of their first jobs that they actually got paid real money for was when we lived in the state of Florida. They got hired by a guy that ran a fruit and vegetable stand, and in Florida, that's code for hot, in Florida, they pick strawberries. And I promise you that my offspring are as white as Wonder Bread. Their friends worked at this same place. They were all Caucasian. They picked strawberries. They picked vegetables. As a kid, I used to pick apples. This idea that fruit was going to rot on the vine, that nobody was going to harvest crops, that public restrooms and etc. would all be dirty, motel rooms and hotel rooms would be pigsties because there'll be nobody there to clean them. Shazam, Batman. Here we are now 8 months into the Trump administration, and restrooms are being cleaned, hotel rooms are being cleaned, etc., etc., etc. Gee, you mean there are people who actually live here, are from here, who will do those jobs? Huh. That's not what the Democrats said. Remember, gas prices weren't going to go down. Why? What he's doing, it's going to be awful. Did you see what happened with the European trade agreement? I'm getting there. But did you see what happened? We are watching gas prices begin to drop. We're even watching grocery prices begin to drop. And that big, beautiful bill that was going to plummet us into a decade of just turmoil and upheaval, well, a lot of it goes into effect this year. Remember under Biden's Build Back Better, while we were facing, back-breaking inflation and gas we couldn't afford and groceries we couldn't afford, we were constantly being told the relief is coming, the relief is coming, the relief is coming. Well, the relief under Donald Trump isn't years away. It's happening now. He's directed that anything that can be done to unleash all U.S. energy needs to happen. And then we have the trade agreement now with the European Union, and guess where they're going to be buying their heating fuel and their gas? Guess where they're going to be buying it from now? the United States. And again, even CNN was like, wow, Donald Trump really pulled this off. How is this possible? Children, I'm going to explain. Donald Trump operates under a very unsophisticated, simplistic worldview. It's the way he runs his businesses. It's the way he handles his personal life. When he identifies a problem, he identifies the solution to the problem. If the problem still persists, it will not go away. He assigns a monetary value to it. That's it. That's it. Remember when he was campaigning, and he was campaigning hot and heavy, that he was going to bring a stop to the war in Ukraine? And we were being told by the neocons, we were being told by the war hawks on Capitol Hill, including Republican, including Democrats, we can't do this. We've got to stand with Ukraine. We've got to stand with Zelensky. We've got to keep funneling money over there because, again, that whole thing was a grift. And a lot of that money that went over there that's unaccounted for literally came back here. Senators and congressmen and other people who were part of the grift were making a small fortune off of this Ukraine war, and they didn't want the gravy train to stop. And so they started pushing the line again, the Russia, although we're finding out that Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton orchestrated that whole thing, and they're guilty as sin right up to their ever-loving eyeballs. But we started hearing again, well, Trump is just doing the bidding of Putin, and that's why he won't take a firm stand to defend Ukraine. Remember when this little exchange happened?
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking down this country. Now,
Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying.
And I honestly believe that Donald Trump actually wanted that war to stop. Now, some people are saying he sold out MAGA because now he's giving weapons to Ukraine. Remember what I said. When Trump identifies a problem, he identifies a solution. And if the problem still persists, then he just assigns a monetary value to it. He saw that neither Putin or Zelensky were going to end this thing. And again, Trump made good on his promise. He wanted to get together with both sides. He ended up having to throw Zelensky out of the White House. Do we remember that, boys and girls? And of course, I think Putin was then emboldened by that, like, aha, Donald Trump really isn't for Ukraine. And what he doesn't understand is Donald Trump is for America. And Donald Trump looks at Zelensky and Putin as literally being two different sides of the same coin. They're just Euro trash oligarchs that became leaders of countries. That's it. And they do everything they can to exploit their people for their own personal gain. And Trump sees that in both of them. He sees Putin as obviously being the bigger, stronger thug, but at the end of the day, he knows that the world's sympathy lies with Ukraine. Because again, first and foremost, Donald Trump is a businessman, and a shrewd one at that. So what does he do? He looks at Russia and thinks, all right, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Do I go with Russia? Do I go with Ukraine? And he finally decides, you know what? Ukraine's got some minerals I want. They will sign the mineral deal, and they did. Now we have investor interest in making sure that Ukraine doesn't get removed from the map and then controlled ultimately by Russia, because now those are our minerals over there. So, yeah, we're going to get weapons ready for Ukraine, but they're going to pay for them. We're not just going to give them weapons. We're not just going to give them cash anymore. No more bailout. No. Nay, nope, yet. they're going to pay for it. Because after all, Europe stepped up when the United States was backing away under Donald Trump and said, we pledge our last dollar to the Ukraine. Okay, you just told the Don you're willing to pay for it. So Donald looked at, let's see, Russia, Ukraine. If I help Russia, there's no monetary gain in that. If I help Ukraine, there's a monetary gain in that. Do you see how this is played, boys and girls? And again, look at what he's done with global trade. When he announced tariffs, everybody's going to run to China and they'll all gang up against us. And it's been the exact opposite. Everybody came running to us. He's even got liberal universities. He knows he's never going to change the woke culture and ideology of what gets taught in those liberal classrooms. He knows that's those universities were gone back in the 60s to conservative ideals and true American exceptionalism and patriotism and capitalism, etc. He knows that. There's no more point in even trying to wage that battle. You've got colleges like Hillsdale out there. You've got plenty of private and Christian schools, many of which are becoming accredited now. Christian universities like Liberty Universities, where you can get the full university experience, a fully accredited bachelor's degree, master's degree, and you're going to get pretty much a conservative worldview. So, you know what? We're not worried about trying to fix what's taught at Harvard or even the local community college. What we're going to do now is get paid. Oh, step out of line. You're going to defend anti-Semitism as free speech? You will pay us for that. I mean, it's brilliant. He literally turned anti-Semitism into a profitable business. Look at what's happening with Harvard. Look what's happening with these other universities. Donald Trump did that. Why? Because when Donald Trump identifies a problem, if he can't make the problem go away, then we assign a monetary value to the problem. Couldn't get the fake news to stop being fake news. He couldn't get them to stop maligning him, lying about him, misrepresenting him, and constantly, maliciously, and crossing all types of journalistic lines, misreporting about him. So now he just sues them and wins. And at some point, these editors are going to have to start answering to the people who write the checks there that, hey, we really don't like to continue to write checks to this guy. Knock it off. This is the brilliant strategy, which is Donald Trump. If the problem won't go away, make them pay for the privilege of your attention. Thus endeth the lesson.